Previously, a man named Ronan defeated the monstrosity that destroyed half the empire. However, that was only the prelude to the invasion of the true disaster. Thousands of white giants came rushing from the sky. At that moment, Commander Audacion revealed she had regressed twice, but failed to save the empire. So after seeing Ronan's unwavering will, she was convinced that he could succeed. So, she gave him the artifact of regression, which sent him back to the past. After coming back, he met new allies, Estelle and Maria. He even got his hand on a rare beast egg, from which a blood-devouring dragon hatched. Then he enrolled in Phil Leon Academy to grow stronger and recruit powerful allies. In the entrance test, he showed off his skills, which shocked the professors. And the unprecedented sword saint, Instructor Naburos, decided to take him in as a disciple. Then Ronan went to the greatest forge, the Grand Cappadocia, to get a new weapon. Seeing Ronan's talent, the greatest blacksmith, Elder Doron, decided to forge his sword. A few days later, Ronan was taking a walk on the academy grounds. His weapon was being forged, and he also put an order for Estelle and Maria. Although the order was quite expensive, it didn't matter to him because it wasn't his money. Estelle was worried and Maria said that free things were the best. As Ronan kept walking, he came across the Galilean building. It was where Instructor Naburos' class was being held. Ronan only had a temporary weapon, so he was wondering whether or not he should attend her class. At that moment, Naburos popped up behind him. She held him by the ear and asked if he was skipping class despite obtaining a weapon. Ronan said he wasn't and there was a proper reason for it. Naburos told him to forget about it and dragged him to class. In the sparring room, all the students gathered. Naburos introduced Ronan to them. Then everyone started whispering. And Ronan could hear it all. There were some welcoming faces and unwelcome faces too. At that moment, a girl came late to the class. She was Naburos' assistant. She told her it was fine and said a new guy joined the class. She introduced herself and I quote, "I am the second-year martial arts major who is the TA for this class, Audacion. It's nice to meet you." Ronan was shocked to see the Grand Commander. She was acknowledged for her incredible command ability, was the first woman to rise to the Grand Commander role, and dominated the battlefield with her cool-headed judgment and outstanding leadership. She was hailed as the Iron Lady. Those who fought under her leadership said that inside her body runs not blood, but iron. So who could have guessed that the Grand Commander could have an expression like that? It seemed clear that she didn't have memories related to regressing, but her past self made a request to him. He was unsure of what to do. However, there was a more pressing issue. One candidate called her to look at their posture, another called for a new towel, and everyone else was making her do chores that an attendant would do. At that point, a third-year student approached him with a smile. His name was Cardan and he asked for a duel. Then Ronan was about to refuse him politely, but Cardan shouted at Audacion, called her a loser, and told her to bring his practice spear. Hearing that, Ronan popped a blood vessel. He thought to himself, who does this bastard think he is running his mouth at? After Audacion brought his long spear, Cardan called her an idiot and said he had switched to a short spear long ago. Audacion apologized and told him it was because he was using a long spear until recently. Then, Cardan hit her in the head and insulted her, saying she didn't deserve to be in that class, so she should at least be good at chores. After hearing all that, Ronan grabbed Cardan's spear. He told the senior that he was ready to do it. Cardan didn't get it. So Ronan said, and I quote, "Oh, what don't you understand? The duel, let's do it, you loser motherfucker." Cardan said that it was a little shocking. He asked Ronan if he was doing all that for that loser, or if it was because they were both lowly commoners. Ronan let go of the spear and told him to just shut up and get beaten up. Then he thrust his sword at him. Cardan was astonished to see him use that much power without using any mana, and the impact pushed him back. Ronan told him, "You were complaining about your long spear before, so I changed it for you. Do you like it?" Cardan said, "How dare this bastard? You don't know your place. You think you'll be fine after doing this." Ronan sliced his spear into pieces in an instant and said he will be fine, so he should just worry about himself. Ronan hit him with his sword relentlessly and finally beat him unconscious. He told him to be thankful they were inside the academy. If they met outside, then he would have really died. Cardan was highly ranked among the third years, so everyone was shocked that he lost. But Ronan wasn't done. Next, he wanted to discipline the mannerless bastard with the towel. He told them, and I quote, "If the towel stinks, then wash it yourself. Why make someone else do it?" "Grand Commander, no. Is the assistant your servant?" Audacion tried to stop him and said she was fine. But Ronan told her to move. He couldn't tolerate anyone disrespecting her. At that moment, a voice filled with a menacing aura told Ronan to stop. It was Instructor Nabiros. She said, and I quote, "I won't ask you to take responsibility for the fight you just had, since more unfortunate incidents can happen in real battles. However, if things escalate any further, I can no longer overlook it." In that instance, Ronan couldn't move his body. It was the aura of the unprecedented Sword Saint. She then said, "Ronan, what you were trying to do cannot be treated as a spar. As the person responsible for this class, I cannot let the lesson deviate anymore." Then Ronan said, "So you knew what the assistant was going through. Until now you just stood idly and watched, despite knowing what was happening?" After that, Nabiros said, "It's between me and my assistant, it's not something that involves you. So this is my last warning, stop." To that, Ronan replied, "Oh, it doesn't matter whether you're the unprecedented Sword Saint or not. My answer's the same. Fuck off." Nabiros said that she had no choice as she unleashed her aura, and Ronan faced it head-on. As Ronan was unconscious, in his dream he met the Grand Commander. He asked her why she chose to be in that position when everyone else declined. She said, "There are some things that you can't force someone else to do, it's your destiny." Ronan couldn't understand just how. How could she carry all that on her shoulders? The commander told him, "Soldier Ronan, I'm sincerely sorry. For someone who was given this burden, don't forgive me." Hearing that, Ronan woke up from his dream. When he looked beside him, Adeshan was sitting right there. She asked him if he had a nightmare. Ronan asked her if he was in the infirmary, so she told him that the instructor told her to bring him there. "I'll fix that bravado of yours from today onwards during supplementary class," is what she added. Then she asked him, "Back there, did you get angry for my sake?" To that, Ronan replied, "No. I was angry because I'm sensitive towards etiquette and I'm a very refined gentleman." Adeshan could tell he was a bad liar. She told him to not hate the other students and that she could understand their feelings. Ronan was pissed. He asked her why she wasn't angry. She told him that the reason why the instructor ignored it was because she asked her to. She said, "I'm receiving preferential treatment which I don't deserve. Normally to take this class you'd need to be a sword expert. But I'm being held back for a year, and I've just learned to control mana." Ronan couldn't believe what he was hearing. The Grand Commander, who was able to use such amazing aura, went through something like that. Adeshan told him that she could handle something like that any time, but she was thankful to him. She thought she could handle anything, but the hit from earlier hurt a little. Ronan asked her if the reason why she was working so hard was to become a Grand Commander. Adeshan was surprised that he knew about it and asked if she made it obvious. She said, "I'm still lacking a lot, so I'm not able to say it proudly, but my dream is to become the Empire's Grand Commander. Although I'm like this, I'm confident in military science and strategy, and I'm working hard every day." Then the bell rang and it was time for the next class. As Adeshan was leaving, she told Ronan to rest more and come back. And Ronan thanked her for looking after him. When she left, he recalled the Grand Commander's last wish. She told him to tell her to stop messing around and become a tailor. Seeing the night and day difference in Adeshan's desires and conviction, Ronan was confused as to what he should do. A few days later, Ronan visited the forge at the entrance of Grand Cappadocia. When he entered, no one was there to receive them. He was pissed that no one was there, even though they were the ones who called him by letter, saying his sword was ready. So, Ronan decided to just enter by himself. They got in the elevator and pushed the brick that triggered the mechanism. Acel was worried if it was all right, but Ronan didn't care. He was annoyed by their poor customer service. However, as soon as the elevator went down, they saw the place burning. It was filled with chaos and death. Acel spotted the cause of it. It was a rock giant chasing after the blacksmiths. There was no time to come up with a plan, so Ronan grabbed Acel and then asked Maria to go back up and bring anyone who could help. After that, Ronan jumped and Acel used telekinesis for a safe landing. The blacksmiths were cornered, and just when it seemed like it was the end, Ronan sliced off the rock giant's arm like tofu. He said, and I quote, "Good timing. I had a lot on my mind recently and I was stressed. You guys are done. You lumps of rocks." The rock giant threw a punch, and just before it hit him, Ronan disappeared. He climbed the giant's arm, and at an extreme speed, he sliced through it. The head was split cleanly, and it fell before the blacksmiths. Ronan climbed up its head and asked the blacksmiths, "Oh, please tell me what the hell is going on." The blacksmiths explained that dozens of rock giants suddenly appeared from somewhere underground and started destroying everything. They killed the blacksmiths, then they grabbed several blacksmiths including Elder Doron and returned to where they came from. Didakan went after them, but he wasn't good at fighting, so at that rate, they'll become food. There weren't any rock giants left on the surface because Ronan killed the last one. So, he told Asel to look for the injured and heal them along with Sita's healing magic. Asel asked what he would be doing, so Ronan told him that he would go after the ones that were taken. Deep beneath the ground, Doron and Didikan were surrounded by the rock giants stuck in that small cave. Doron asked Didikan to leave him behind and escape, but Didikan told him if he had time to spout such bullshit then he should use it to swing that sword instead. But Elder Doron said, "This sword is my best masterpiece. I can't taint it with my stupid swordsmanship." Hearing that, Didikan called him a stupid old geezer, but the rock giants could finally move. They attacked them with full force, but somehow, Didikan was able to block it. All the defense enchantments cast on his armor were destroyed with that attack. As he was recalling the regrets of his life, he felt a frightening murderous intent. It made him break into a cold sweat. In what seemed like an instant, with hundreds of slashes, Ronan cut apart the rock giants. Then Didikan asked what happened to the other rock giants, and Ronan told him that he had already gotten rid of them before arriving there. Then Ronan asked Doron for his sword, because his temporary sword was already worn out. Doron told him that although the hilt was incomplete, the blade was complete, so he could use it. Ronan wanted to test how good his new sword was by using it on the remaining rock giants. The rock giants were about to attack, but Ronan swung his sword, and a huge wave of aura demolished the giants. Ronan was shocked, while Doron was amazed at his creation. The slim black sword packed a bigger punch than anything he used in the past. Doron asked him, "How is it? Ronan, do you like La Mancha?" Ronan replied, "La Mancha, is that the name of the sword?" Then Doron enthusiastically said, "Oh, it's the name I got from my favorite daydreamer. Isn't it amazing? It's so light that you can barely feel its weight on your hand. The material is sturdier than mithril, so it can withstand all swordsmanship. I didn't even cast any attachments on it, but it even possesses a trait where it restores its damage taken by absorbing blood." Ronan figured it possessed that trait because it was made from Sita's eggshell and Sita could gain power by absorbing blood. He complimented Doron and called him amazing. Then Didikan told them that they should leave, but Ronan still had something to do. He told them that a rat was hiding in that place, and it was a very big one. Didikan asked what he meant by rat, and Ronan said that something felt off. He knew a lot about the habits of rock giants, and those guys aren't known for mobbing. And if no one annoys them first, they are quite well behaved. And most importantly, at the back of their heads there was a suspicious mark. Even Doron couldn't recognize that magic circle, but he was sure that it was the cause of the rock giants' rampage. In order to find out the party responsible, Ronan decides to follow the rock giants' tracks. Ronan was uncertain at first, but the deeper he went the more certain he became. Between the footprints of the rock giants, there were footsteps that were twice the size of a human, and there was a defense system type mana stone. Whoever did it thoroughly planned it all out. As Ronan went in deeper, he could see light and hear voices. He came close and took a peek, only to see a rock giant bigger and more majestic than others. And two suspicious people shrouded in white robes were standing in front of it. The rock giants he defeated before seemed like children compared to it. It seemed like it was still sealed, but it would be a problem if it was activated. So, Ronan eavesdropped on their conversation and I quote, "You think there's an intruder? Are you certain?" "Yes, considering that the brainwashing link that I had cast on the rock giants has disconnected. What should we do? We don't have any rock giants left, and we can't operate this guy yet. Since things have come to this, should I go and kill them myself? It's fine, Edwin. We destroyed most of the surrounding facilities, and that will greatly affect the Empire's weapon manufacturers. Instead, if our identities are revealed, that person won't sit still. So let's retreat for now. Then shall I just get rid of that? Do as you please." After saying all that, the man named Edwin knew that someone was eavesdropping, and he cast a fire spell at Ronan. The fire spell exploded, but unexpectedly for them, it wasn't enough. Ronan dodged it. Edwin wanted to stop Ronan's movements, so he cast another spell. Ronan was surprised at how fast he could cast those spells. Multiple spears of fire surrounded Ronan. Edwin asked Ronan who he was and how he broke through their defense system. Ronan said, and I quote, "And that's what I want to say. Even if you guys were so eager to be with each other, isn't meeting in a place like this a little too extreme?" Then Edwin said, "Yeah, it'll be fun killing you when you're joking around like this." Then Cirilla told him that they were wasting time. But Edwin said, "Oh, let me have some fun, Cirilla. There isn't much time left, right? For this empire to be buried in starlight." Hearing those familiar words, he recalled what the godlike giants that destroyed the world in his previous life said. Ronan told them, and I quote, "Oh, what did you say just now? Those words, do you know what those words mean? You rats?" Edwin was confused by the sudden change in mood. Then Ronan told them, "You both need to come with me. I have a lot to ask you guys." Hearing him say that he would capture them, Edwin thought that he had finally gone crazy. He asked him if he really thought that was possible. Before he could fire the spell, Ronan cut off his arm and said that it was possible. So they should just compliantly get fucked. Edwin fell on the ground writhing in pain, while Cirilla was shocked by what happened. Then Ronan grabbed her neck, choking her. Then he told her, and I quote, "Miss, it would be great if you could answer my questions obediently. If you don't want to end up like him, that is." In order to break free, Cirilla cast the Mana Shield spell. Ronan was pushed back, and he thought to himself that the Mana Shield was quite sturdy. But it wasn't enough to stop him. He cut through it easily. Then he mercilessly stabbed her shoulder. As he pinned her down, he realized that she was a half-elf. He asked her why a half-elf was associated with them. But at that moment, a fire spell called Explosion was thrown at Ronan. He turned around and cut it with his sword. When the smoke cleared, he said, and I quote, "How strange, I already cut your limbs. So what the hell is that disgusting sight?" Edwin called him a rotten bastard and told him to get away from her. They were in a standoff, so Ronan told him, "Oh, it seems like you haven't gotten a grasp of the situation yet. You guys are fucked. Choose, you'll either listen to me obediently, or I'll give this elf a taste of amputation. Will it grow back like yours?" Hearing that, Edwin stopped casting and agreed to follow him. Ronan told him that he made a good choice and didn't want to see any more bloodshed either. It would be a problem if they died. But something was wrong. The elf was smiling. And suddenly, out of thin air, the hand of the golden rock giant appeared behind him. In a desperate attempt, he blocked it with his sword, but the impact sent him flying, and he crashed against the wall. Edwin asked Cirilla if she could move. Cirilla said, and I quote, "I'm fine, Edwin. I owe you one. If you didn't divert his attention when you pretended to attack him, I wouldn't have had the time to hinder his perception, nor the time to activate the giant. Although I only activated its arm, I'm sure he's heavily damaged." Then Edwin told her to return to the church first to report the situation, and he would return after putting an end to Ronan. Cirilla told him to be careful and said that Ronan was a monster with the face of a child. Edwin told her that he wouldn't be reckless. He thought to himself that Ronan was no child, and if he didn't kill him now, then later, he'd become a huge threat. As he told himself that he wouldn't lose again, all his limbs were cut off, and this time Ronan cut him thoroughly, so he wouldn't be able to revive. Ronan said, "Oh, where do you think you're going? I'm sure I already told you before that. I have a lot to ask." Cirilla cast another mana shield and asked him how he was able to move when he was severely injured. Ronan told them that he would never let them go, but his body said otherwise. His internal organs were heavily damaged, so he couldn't move. But victory wasn't guaranteed for Cirilla either, so she decided to retreat for now. She opened up a magic portal and told Ronan, "Prepare yourself. I'll find out everything about you and take everything away from you. Your family and your lover, your friends, all their lives." However, in the face of those heinous threats, the only thing that went through his mind was the dread of Cirilla leaving and losing the only clue that he barely found about the disaster that would take place in the future. He told her to stop multiple times, but she just kept walking to the portal. At that moment, a voice filled with menacing aura commanded her to stop. It said, "Oh, I also have a lot of questions, but I'll confirm this first. Was it you? How dare you touch my disciple?" And that is all for now. The title of this manhwa is in the description. Like the video if you liked it, press that dislike button twice if you didn't like it, and thanks for all the support.